Yo guys, what's up? If you have been playing 2xKO, I am sure you have heard about the backdash into assist controversy on round start or just using it in general in the game, and I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on the matter because backdashing or walking back in fighting games is just something that can be used to bait out certain things, or depending on the team that you're playing, trying to create space, all that good stuff, right? So I kind of just want to dive in and talk about it and see if maybe the community is overreacting about it a little bit. So let's get into it. For the people that don't know about this, right, I just want to kind of give a small explanation before I bring out some replays for us to look at, and then I'm going to dig into some more concepts and how this is used in other fighting games as well. So what people are complaining about is that at round start or any time that your assist is available, people are doing this, right? They're backdashing and like calling an assist, or they're backdashing, right? Like this, and then jumping, calling assists. And people are voicing their concerns about this because they find it boring to watch. They find it boring to play against. So what I want to do is I kind of just want to lay out some of the pros and cons as to why people look to do this, you know, on round start, or, you know, maybe when they have their assists available. All right, guys. So the first pro and the reason why people like doing this on round start is that backdashing or walking back can be stopped quickly and allow you to react to the opponent's next move. So like, say I was backdashing, right, getting ready to call my assist. You know, if Yasuo decides to jump that, right, I can stop my backdash and have time to react with maybe a 2H, right, and then get my offense going. So that's one reason why people would like to look out for it. But there's obviously more examples as to why this is good. That's just one of them. The second pro as to why people would want to do this would be because it is creating space between you and your opponent. And some characters, you know, this is good because maybe they work better in this range, right? As opposed to being up in the opponent's face. An example is like Ari. She's kind of this keep away character, right? So she works better, you know, by kind of like staying out here, waiting for the opponent to come to her, where she can land like some of her normals, right? Or maybe she has this move that she can use to keep people at bay, right? So she's a little bit more comfortable being further away. So if you see a character like Ari doing this, it's because she's trying to create space, maybe use that assist, get a hit, go in and create her offense and pressure that way. All it really comes down to is creating a space where your character is stronger than perhaps their character. So the next thing I want to talk about is baiting and punishing. This is extremely important because for somebody like Yasuo, he has some pretty long range normals, some pretty long range specials, right? So the idea behind this backdash here is to try to whiff punish some of those moves, right? Or maybe whiff punish like an assist or something if it comes out. I want to give myself, right, space so that I can afford to make this decision a lot easier than if I was up in Yasuo's face, I would get hit. So for an example, I'm going to backdash here to dodge Yasuo's S1. Now, granted, I don't hit Yasuo, but what I do hit is the assist. And when I am hitting that assist, as you can see up top, Echo is going to take some damage. So, in the long run, you win that interaction. Now, the last thing that I can think about off the top of my head right now is countering rush down. If people are trying to rush you down, the best thing that you can do is backdash backwards, right? Because this is going to cause them to have to overextend in neutral even further, and then they risk making a mistake. And while they're making a larger commitment, you are making a much lesser one. So if you play this right, maybe you get a chance to stuff their approach. And then you are in charge of running your offense and creating space back to the middle of the stage. But obviously, with the pros comes the cons. So the con to this is when I'm backdashing backwards, I'm losing space while also putting myself closer to the corner. So now if they don't make a mistake and I do, I'm locked into the corner where I have to eat a full combo if I make a mistake and get put into some situation with their assist, some kind of crazy Oki setup that I don't want to be any part of. So that is the one thing that kind of sucks in doing this, right? Because if you whiff your assists or anything like that, you're left wide open. You don't have push block anymore. You don't have your assists. So the only thing that you have left is your break gauge. And sometimes you don't always want to use that, but you might have to. And while backdashing and calling your assist is a pretty low committal tool, the other thing that you have to take into account is that you're starting to become predictable. So the opponent can recognize your pattern of maybe doing this over and over again, right? Into an assist. I'm just backdashing, assist. The opponent can then realize, hey, this guy is just doing this over and over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to approach with maybe like a jump in, right? Or something like that. Not saying that I can't react to that, right? But maybe I don't see it coming because they haven't done it at all. And then I end up taking a lot of damage. I'm back in the corner, you know, into Oki situations and all that stuff again. So you have to be careful, right? I just want to cover a few more things with this. Just very quickly talk about them because we didn't talk about the jump back that much, but just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of a small rundown on that. So let's say I'm playing Jinx, right? The reason why I would maybe want to jump back would be to start using my projectiles because this is where Jinx is pretty strong, right? So if you're playing against a zoner, more often than not, they're going to want to jump back, right? Or if I'm playing Ahri, right, I have an air dash. So for me to jump back is kind of less committal because I could jump back, go forward like this, right? And if you're always used to doing this and I'm running up like this, right, and I jump back and maybe come back like this after you've whiffed, say, an assist, then now I'm at that advantage. Also, when you're jumping, you do become susceptible to being 2H'd, anti-aired, all that good stuff, right? So it's kind of learning how to play around these things, and I think that with time, people are going to figure out how to better counter the backdash into assists. And if it ends up being too strong, I, you know, trust the devs on 2xKO to figure that out as well. But I just wanted to give you guys kind of like a reason why somebody would want to use these options available to them, right? Because I know a lot of new people are coming into 2xKO, so maybe just like a brief rundown can kind of maybe shed some light on those concepts for you guys. Alright guys, so I brought up some high-level gameplay, and I kind of want to show you what happens here at round start and why they chose to make that decision. Right, so see how they're backdashing there at first? Vi is trying to bait out Yasuo's projectile and the assist. And as you can see, if you guys didn't see it right there, let's wind this back just a little bit, right? Let's go right back to the beginning, honestly. And just check this out. Backdash, baits projectile, baits assist. Assist is now down. And right before it comes back up, Vi goes in for the punish, right? So there's almost half a life bar. Obviously, they get thrown there. That sucks. And then she tries to parry the assist or parry Yasuo and ends up having to break, right? But that's just one example as to why they are backdashing, is they're trying to bait out some of these tools so that then they can approach easier than if both people had their assists available, right? So that is just one thing that I wanted to bring up that I saw in one of these high-level replays. There's also a couple high-level replays that they don't backdash at all, and I'm going to show those super quick as well. All right, guys, now I have a game here with Light Wisp and Void, and let's see how they start off this match here. So Braum backdashes here because he is afraid of Warwick's normal, right? And Braum was also kind of trying to get his own hit in there with his assist, but unfortunately it doesn't work, and now Braum is eating a ton of damage. Where if Braum would have hit that assist, they would have had the advantage, right? But instead, Void kind of just gets to do whatever he wants now. Alright guys, let's check out one more round start from this set. So Braum opts to backdash again, while Void says, you know what, I'm not going to do that. Because Braum, he understands the pattern right, that Braum is going to want to backdash on round start because Braum is afraid of eating an assist or one of Warwick's normals. Void knows this, so he opts to go for the more aggressive approach, which obviously it ends up paying off. So I think that's another thing that, you know, people need to keep in mind, right? That there is a method to the madness, and I'm not saying that these things aren't maybe a little bit strong, right? Maybe in this game it's a little bit stronger than other games. Now, I've played like DBFC and stuff before, and kind of the same thing tends to happen. Now, you do have 2 assists in that game, so maybe the dynamic changes a little bit, right? But I kind of want to go in there and show you guys maybe a few things with those games as well. Alright guys, so I brought up a Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising set with Oa-chan, hopefully I said that right, and Gamera. And I kind of just wanted to show you that these same things that you're complaining about in 2XKO also happen in other games. Now, I will admit, maybe it's not as egregious, right? But the concept's still there, and I just want to make you guys aware of it. Here we go. So as you guys can see, I want to roll this back real quick, because right off the bat, we have Gamera shuffling and then backdashing back. And there's a reason for this. See that Vera normal? The reason that Gamera was opting to do that is because Vera has very, very good normals, right? So he's trying to either whiff punish, right, with that little shimmy, trying to whiff punish Vera's normal, or just get away from it altogether, as you saw with that backdash, right? So, while maybe it wasn't like some crazy backdash into assist, right? Although Meg kind of does have an assist, so she could technically backdash into this, although it is kind of slow, so she could get punished. I don't know enough about Meg yet to, you know, make that assumption, but she does have that assist capability. All right, guys, let's watch the start of this next round as well and see what we can see. So this time, he opts to just go right in and start his offense right away, right? Not giving Vera a chance to run hers at all. He just opts to, I don't want to deal with this, I'm just going right in. And we saw that option, right, in some of those 2XKO sets, especially the Void one, right? He did the same thing with Warwick. So it's, I'm not going to say that it's not annoying in 2XKO, right? Because I understand that it probably can be. And in tag fighters, that's definitely more of a prominent thing to do, right? Because you have access to assist. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys, you know, another look at a different game so that you could see that, hey, this is also an option that people do in other fighting games as well. It's kind of like a staple, right? So now, what we are going to do is I want to go check out a few high-level DBFC sets, and we'll go from there and see what we can find. Alright guys, so I found the 2024 EVO set, Grand Finals actually, of 2 names that you guys already know. I am definitely going to say these wrong, so I apologize in advance, but we have Hikari versus Inzem, I believe. 2 names that are, you know, blowing up in the 2XKO scene right now, so I figured this would be a good one to show. So, here we go. Let's see what they end up doing round start and how this kind of neutral plays out.
Powering up as well.
Oh, we're letting the intros rock, baby. Let's go. Alright, here we go. So as you can see, Vegeta opts to do that back jump, right? And kind of go for a catch and ends up catching Hikari's Jiren, right? Now, in DBFC, I will say you do have access to 2 assists, but the same concept is there, right? And they even have more assists. They could sit there and do the same thing over and over and over again, right? But I will say DBFC does have a little bit more like forward advancing stuff, but again, the jump back helped him to create space there and get his assist, I believe, to land, or one of his specials to land, so that he could go in and do what he just did, take out that character, right? So let's see what he does with the second character here, right? Obviously, they're up in each other's face. honestly, Hikari has no breathing room, so now Inzem is just running away with this game. I'm not gonna lie. But you guys get the idea, right? The backdash or the back jump is something that is in a ton of fighting games. So while it seems to be pretty annoying, I'm not gonna lie, I understand why people think that way, but I also feel like it's going to get solved eventually too. And if it doesn't, again, I trust the devs to figure it out, right? And there's a ton of stuff that they could do, and I'll kind of give my final thoughts and things of that nature right after this. Alright guys, I'm gonna let a match play in the background while I talk about some things. So I know that things are frustrating right now, right? And people are finding this super boring. What I will say in my advice is to kind of let it play out for a month, right? See what happens, because maybe next week somebody finds something out that can counter this, right? I think just maybe nerfing this right away is never the right idea, right? Because give the devs more time to actually see complaints, see if, you know, things change, and if they don't, they can act accordingly, right? So I think right now, in my opinion, it is a bit of an overreaction, because remember, the game has only been out for maybe a month, almost two, kind of getting close to the two, like we'll go with a month and a half, right? So the game really hasn't been out that long, and not everything has been figured out, right? Because once you figure something out, another thing comes up, and it just keeps going and going and going. So like allowing, you know, players to keep playing and maybe like figure something out rather than making a knee-jerk reaction to just nerf maybe backdash, which I don't think is the correct answer either, because if you nerf movement, then the game's just gonna feel bad in my opinion. So I do believe that you know, removing or nerfing movement is never the answer. But what I will say is maybe you can do something to some of the system mechanics, right? Like maybe if they're backdashing a ton, or you want this game to be more aggressive, like say a Guilty Gear, you could add something in like a negative penalty, right? So like if they're backdashing too much, maybe their break gauge doesn't fill as fast as the opponent that, you know, is up in somebody's face trying to apply offense, right? I think that could be, you know, a good change that, you know, wouldn't break the game, wouldn't make it feel bad, right? But if you are playing defense, then, you know, choosing to run away all the time, then you maybe you should be punished for it, right? But I just wanted to say that, you know, maybe we're overreacting right now, right? And maybe we just need to give it time, and that if it is, you know, becoming a major problem and it hasn't been fixed and people haven't figured it out, right? We have to trust the devs to, you know, be able to fix it. And these devs are so far incredibly good and pretty transparent, right? So just wanted to let you guys know that, hey, give these guys time to cook, and, you know, let's see how this meta develops. And yeah, obviously I want you guys to let me know how you feel about this down in the comments. Like, am I in the wrong? You know, is there something that I'm not seeing? I'd love to hear from you guys so that we can have a nice civil conversation about it. And, you know, maybe I changed my mind, right? So please, please, please make sure that, you know, you leave your opinions down there and let's talk about it, right? Before I go, guys, I just want to remind you that if you are enjoying my content on this channel, please consider subscribing to my YouTube. Obviously, if you want to see any fighting game related content, you know, for 2XKO or Grand Blue or, you know, maybe DBFC or something else, right? You know, and then if you want to see stuff live, obviously follow my Twitch. And if you want to see something on TikTok, some more short form stuff, obviously give me a follow over there. But until next time, guys, I hope that you have a fantastic day. And remember that if we're going to talk about this, please be civil down in those comments. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Peace.